So we back, everybody. Happy New Year. Uh, the first week of the new year. Um, this is episode 17. And what we've been discussing that we're gonna um that's our topic for this episode is the time is now. And what we mean by that is right now is the perfect time. And honestly, it's always a perfect time for you to be able to do or go ahead and do the things that you wanted to do and need to do. And for us, what we was discussing, because we have these conversations regularly, and for our personal conversation, we realized it's the time now to do several things. One, that's in investing in the stock market, investing in a business venture, um, that we decide that will be best suited for ourselves, um, and honestly, truly, just investing in ourselves, right? So the time is now, and the reason why I believe the time is now is because right now I know if any of you is watching the stock market, it ain't looking too good. It ain't looking too good. However, it's a good opportunity because the stocks generally across the board are much cheaper than they were in 2021. And so it's kind of like buying something on sale, right? It's like it was $200 and now it's 50% off. You might as well get it now before it goes back to 200, because these stocks are not going to stay low forever, right? And so for us, we realize it's a time now to aggressively invest in the stock market. But of course, doing that with one, doing your due diligence in researching the companies that you're interested in to make sure that these companies will be profitable within the next 2 to 5 years, right? Making sure that the companies won't go bankrupt, won't be bought out. Now, of course, there's strategies of you invest in a company. If you feel like they're going to be bought out, you should invest. Some strategies state you should invest, but I'm not going to tell you whether you should or shouldn't if a company is going to be bought out. But you want to definitely do your due diligence in finding out what the criteria are in order to invest in a particular company. But the most easiest thing to do is just invest in blue chip companies, which are companies that are solid, right? That have been dependable for the past 10 to 20 years, and more than likely will be dependable for the next 10 to 20 years. And so those are just easy ones to just invest in. But the time is now, because most of these companies, their stock price is significantly lower than they were a year or 2 years ago. And so they're on sale. I say buy them up, become more aggressive in investing. But hey, you wanted to share something about the time is now.
Oh yeah, like the time is now, and I feel like we can use ourselves as an example. And we were speaking about it before the camera turned on, how intertwining that with the time is now, but also you don't have to do it alone. If you have not the right people in your corner, but pure relationships and friendships, two minds is always better than one.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
we I feel like at times we get in this mode where we can do it ourselves. And of course we can do it ourselves, but if you have a great partner or an amazing brother or friend and you guys are on the same wavelength, like look at how you poured into me years ago, and then boom, I was able to get a house, and then I poured right back into you, and now we both have equity, and we both now can play because we've always been on the same wavelength.
Right.
But it almost quadruples because if other halves come into play, now there's four people. But if one person is trying to do it on their own, look at where we're trending. Everything is going up. So
Mm-hmm.
why wouldn't the time be now? I mean, I know
Right.
we said it in the previous video before, but I think this is pretty damn impressive. You were able to put a down payment on your house and have enough money because of the stocks that you invested in. And I'm sure you wouldn't call yourself an immaculate investor, but you do your due diligence. But because you do your due diligence, that's what put you in a position that you're in right now.
Yeah, definitely, I definitely do my due diligence.
Right.
And I encourage everyone to do the same, because even if one was to tell you, hey, this company or that company, buy now, sell now, or whatever, right? When things go raw, you wouldn't know why, right? All you can do is be upset at the person you took advice from. And so it's best that you get personally involved, so at least when things go good and bad, that you kind of know what's going on, so you can actually prevent or do your own maneuvering, so that no one else is at fault, right? For your gains and for your losses. And because sometimes losses teaches you how to prevent them from ever happening again, right?
Right.
And so it's best to just do your due diligence, and there's certain strategies you can do, right? Which we can talk about in another video, but there's certain things you can do to build up your understanding of different companies, by looking, first of all, going on a company website. That's like the first thing you need to do. Go on a company website, amongst other things. But definitely doing due diligence has helped me significantly make really good gains in the stock market. But also, like a lot of people, took some hits in 2022, because one thing that I did realize, you can't time the market, right? You can try, and many do, but you don't know when the market might take a dive. There's signals, but when the actual nosedive happens, no one really knows. Or when the actual peaks start happening, no one really fully knows. So it's hard to time it perfectly. But definitely, you do due diligence, you can kind of see what's going on and have a feel for the market, and kind of know which direction you need to go into for your own personal portfolio. But definitely, friends help each other, right? A help me, I help him, and in return, we progress forward. Um, the time is now, because we're in the age of information. So if you want to learn something, it is not that difficult. Like we just were saying earlier, um, managing your bank account is so much more easier today because of technology, right? You go on an app and you just look at your balance, and it shows you your balance. It shows you pending, what's coming in, and pending what's going out, and what your current balance is and what your pending balance is, right? Easy. So you know what you can and cannot spend. Let's go back 20, 30 years ago. You had to budget, you had to manage your funds on your own, on your checkbook, by putting down, okay, this, you went to the bank, you got your balance, you put your balance on your checkbook, and you had to, okay, I'm gonna spend 200, you spend 200, you minus 200. You have to keep doing that and logging that yourself, to keep yourself in the know of your finances. Otherwise, you'd be going to the bank every single day to ask the bank teller how much was in your account. So because of technology, we no longer have to do that. And it's the same thing with gaining certain levels of information. It's no longer have to go to the library and go to the librarian and ask her where the catalog is to get the information on this particular topic. You just go ahead and go online.
Right.
Right? You go online, you go online, you go on reputable websites, right? You go on reputable websites that will give you information. For instance, you want to know about investing, you want to learn investment terms, Investopedia. Reputable website gives you a lot of information and definitions of different terminologies and things in the stock market, you know, so that you kind of get an understanding, right? And so for me, the time is now to do whatever you need to do, whatever you desire, as long as it's, of course, as long as it's positive and healthy. But it's the time. The time is now. Nothing's stopping anyone except for yourself, right?
Right.
If you want to start a business, figure out how can you do that adequately. First, find out what it takes for that business to start running, how much money you might need, right? And then if you need employees or not, and how many employees you might need, and then what the pay rate is for those employees, right? And so, but all the information is available, so you can actually start today, right? Put it on paper, jot it down, and say, this is what I want to do. You know, you want to get into martial arts, you want to get into fitness, you want to change your diet, right? These things are all, can be started today. Today is always the right day, my personal opinion.
Yeah, and as far as the business, sometimes we make things more complicated than what it's supposed to be. You know, I'll raise my hand. I mean, yeah, I'm in the house by myself. But, you know, I've done it, but here's what I found. Because of everything that you're saying, technology, viable computer that has internet, I diligently researched it, figured out how to open up an LLC, opened it the right way. And because I did my due diligence, within a certain amount of months, was able to get 50,000 in business credit and now up to 200,000, but just using the information that I have. And the thing is, don't worry about, oh, is this going to generate? Just open it. And the reason why you just want to open it, and we are going to go into additional steps again on how to do that, is because whether it's generating revenue or not, similar to personal credit, as things age, they become better. So as your business ages, it becomes stronger and more reputable. And then all of a sudden, before you know it, you have the employees, you have the concept, and it's generating revenue because the time is now. You utilize the time right now to start it. You say, you know what? I don't care about all that stuff. It's going to come into fruition because, like we said about mindset, you put in your mindset that it's going to work, so then it just works.
Right. Because you have to give yourself the opportunity to start the inception of it, and it all starts with thought, right? And I'm gonna give you an example. both Abad and I have been going through our own, like, part of life is having, I want to say two things. I want to say having faith, right? And also having, the definition of faith that I've heard from the Bible many years ago is, faith is, I'm paraphrasing it to some degree. Faith is confidence in something you're hoped for. I'm messing it up right now, but confidence is something you hope for, and belief in something unseen. Right? So, for instance, sometimes we don't know where the money or the funding or the solution to a particular issue will come from. But if you know that it will come, right? I was going through a scenario where I needed assistance in a particular area of my life, right? So that things will go smoothly in another area of my life. And I'm like, man, and I've been dealing with it for maybe about a month and a half. And I'm like, okay, I don't know. I got a month to figure this out, and I don't know. And I'm trying. I'm like, okay, try this, and I'm like, okay, I don't know where it's coming from, but it's coming. The solution's coming. I just don't know where it's coming from. And time is ticking. It's getting closer to it's like getting closer to where it needs to be resolved, or things is not going to be very comfortable. And then boom, yesterday it happened. Had one conversation, someone else had another conversation, and then boom, next week, not this week coming up, but the following week, it all will be resolved. And so now what This one area will be taken care of, which allows me to take care of another area or continue progressing magnificently in another area. And so, because I kept the mindset of having faith, right? That's the one thing. And the second thing, which goes into faith, is just having that surety in yourself, in your soul, that it will, you may not know the solution, but the solution will be here. Because sometimes as humans, we always want to know, right? We want to know things are going to be okay and how. We want to know, and we want to know how. How is it going to be all right? I need to know. Tell me, what's the steps? What's going to come and make this better? But that makes your mind go like this, and then you're panicky, and then with panic comes stress. With stress comes mistakes. Well, overly stressed comes mistakes. And so just what I've learned to do is just remain calm and know that it will be resolved. And what happens is that calmness allows me the ability to think clearly and help to discover and be aware of and pay attention to the solution that's coming towards me. Because if I'm like this, sometimes the solution comes and it just goes right past me because I'm too worked up. 100%. But when I'm calmed down, I'm able to go, oh, there it is. It's right there. And here's the solution to my problem. And I'm glad I was calm, because I could have missed it if I wasn't. I wouldn't have given it the opportunity to reveal itself to me. And so that's my suggestion. The time is now, and you can get it, but you have to know that it will come, and have the faith that that unseen solution will come to you. In time, in the nick of time. It will come to you before you really, really need it. It will come.
And like we said in the previous video, if you're uncomfortable with taking risks with the time is now, there's always two ways to look at it. If I don't do anything, you know how things will be. It'll just be exactly how it is.
Yep.
But if you do something, think about how that end of the spectrum is going to be, and then just move on that. And at least at the end of the day, whatever the outcome is, you know what you did, and you exercise that muscle. So now when it comes time to do it again, you do it again.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Because that feeling of not doing it, who wants to sit with that?
Yes. Time will go by, whether you do something or don't do something. Right? Like, it's the weekend is here, right? The weekend will go by, whether you go outside or whether you stay in the house. You stay in the bed all weekend, the weekend goes by. You go out to the mall, peruse somewhere, the weekend goes by. It all depends on how you want it to go by. But the same 48 hours is going to go, right? And so that's how life is. This is, before we end it, I want to make sure I get this out. When we say the time is now, we're not just talking about like business and money, and we're talking about anything you want to see progress in your life. And that could be relationships, that could be your physical health, that could be your mental health, right? And we spoke about this in a previous video, that you have to change your perception, right? Because sometimes you may ask for something and realize you ain't asking for the right thing. And so I want to encourage everyone, for a brief moment, just take a look at your life. Give yourself about 10, 15 minutes just in some kind of quiet space, and just look at the aspects of your life and say to yourself, this may not be the healthiest thing that I'm doing in this particular area. And then determine whether you want to change that to become healthy or not. And then what you can do is now think of the steps to get it there. Whether it's removing persons, removing foods, removing stinking kind of thinkings, right? Because what happens then is then the time now to be healthy in those areas begins. Right? So if you realize you spend too much money on things that are not essential, then think about what those non-essentials are and pull back on the spending of those, right? If you're involved with what people are saying now, toxic individual, then you may want to say that may not be the best thing for me. So let me pull back from this toxic interactions that I'm having, despite sometimes how exhilarating it may feel because adrenaline and all these other things are pumping through the body, right? But you know, in the long run, it's not going to serve you well. Same thing with, certain foods. Put that, you might not want to keep eating cake every night or eating that ice cream every night because you know, in the long run, it's not going to do you what you think it's going to do. It just feels good for now, but it's going to hurt you later. And so take time out just to reflect on yourself so that you can go ahead and say, okay, the time is now to make this change. And once that's here, the now has begun. It started. You cataloged it here. And so now move forward. You may not know the solution. You may be feeling trapped. You may be feeling helpless in that situation. But you just have to know in yourself. Just tell yourself, listen, I may not know the solution, but I know it's going to be better. I know things are going to get remedied. And then just keep yourself calm and look around for that intervention to come and help you remedy that situation. So that's I wanted to leave you guys with that before we go, because I know we can go here and there, and I didn't want to let that slip by, that time slip by, and I didn't get that out. But I wanted to say that because I know that it will help you in every area of your life.
And stick around because we got more heat coming. All applicable. That's all I got.
So we thank y'all for listening. Comment, like, subscribe. The time is now. We would love to, hear some feedback and have a little discourse in the comment section, because we do know these things that we've practiced, these things that we do and we're currently doing that is giving us, great results in our life. Of course, we're not perfect, so we're continually perfecting ourselves and moving towards perfection. So, but these are things that I know and that A knows that we've implemented, that we've taught each other also, that has helped us significantly. So, we love to hear the results of what we say, if it's helped you guys, and, shoot us a comment. All right. So until next time, we'll see y'all. Y'all see us. Episode 18 coming up soon. Peace.